Hi guys, Matthew Pearce from Serenity Marine. Today, after many people always asking me how to wire up a bilge pump and a float switch correctly, I'm going to show you how I feel is the correct way to do it. So with a few things, obviously to get going, you're going to need some basic tools. Okay, so I've got a combination pair of pliers with side cutters. I've got some of my crimping tools, pair of scissors, screwdriver. Now, cheapest way to do it is just a normal little switch. Okay, this is going to be your manual switch that we're going to mount on the dash. Okay, obviously your bilge pump, plate switch. Okay, you're going to need a couple of different fuses. Now today, there's two types. You've got these two here. So I'm going to use both of these so you can have a look. Okay, obviously need some fuses to go into them. Okay, now these types of connections, I'm not sure if you can see them or not. These are a fully waterproof connection. They've got heat shrink on either end. Okay, so this is just a joiner. Okay, and I'll show you a couple of different types. So you're going to need a couple of spade terminals. I'm not sure if you can see that. Okay, we've got your eyelets for the battery connection, and then obviously your joiners. Okay, now they're not a cheap fitting, but they're the best, especially with a bilge pump where you get a lot of water, get a lot of corrosion. Okay, now wire. So I've got some twin core wire. I find it the easiest to work with because it's all sheathed. Now this is all tinned, so it's top of the range. Once again, it stops the corrosion and basically wire's going green, so it lasts a long time. All right, so first things first. Now, one of the good things I do like about these little terminals is because I've got the heat shrink on the end, okay, it makes it very easy to sort of make a bit of a plan. Okay, so I'm going to start with the bilge pump, so let's unbox the bilge pump. So this is just a baby one, this is a 350. Alright, so that's your bilge pump. Now, should have two wires coming out of it. One's a positive and one's a negative. It's normally clearly marked, but if you're not sure, normally the black is your negative. Okay, so we're going to unwind that. So as you can clearly see, that's your positive. Now don't cut this off, okay? The good idea of having this is you can run these wires out of your bilge, okay? So you don't want your wires anywhere sitting in water where it can create a current, which is obviously going to cause problems with your boat, but obviously they can go green. Okay, so we've got your bilge pump. All right, so let's get your float switch out. Try and do this as quick as I can for you guys, but at the same time I want to take my time and do it right for you. Okay, so one float switch. Now obviously these can be mounted in the boat. They do have a little button. All you got to do is push it with your fingers and she pops out. So normally what I do is, I'm not a big fan of screwing into the bottom of your hull. So there's a nice big plate here with some decent Sikaflex or a decent sort of Sika or silicone that will glue to the bottom of your boat and stay there. Okay, so once again, got two wires out of this one. Now one thing you'll notice is they're both brown. Alright, the reason for that is because they're both positive. Okay, so this as such is basically exactly what it reads. It's a switch. Okay, so up is on, down is off. And obviously float, it floats on the top of the water, and as it gets to a certain level, it flicks on and it'll operate the pump. Alright, so how do we wire it? Okay, I've got my battery here. Now, being a safety device, people wire these many different ways, but I'm going to show you how we wire it. Okay, now, basically being a safety device, you want it to have power all the time, okay? Which means that it will operate regardless with or without a switch. Now, positive, positive. And going back to your crimps, the reason I like these crimps is let's make a bit of a mud map. So before we do anything, I'm just going to push these two together, okay? Because that's your positive coming off your switch. I'm just going to put these two together for the time being. Okay, now negative. Negative is going to go straight to the battery, so I need an eyelet terminal. Okay, so straight to the negative side. So I'm just going to put this one on here for the time being, just so I know that's where that's going. Okay, now, got the positive side or the other side from the float switch. So this needs to have power all the time, so it needs to come direct to the battery. But before we do that, it's got to have an inline fuse. So if something goes wrong, okay, we don't want to have any problems, we'd rather it blow the fuse than create any other dramas. So what we're going to do is we're going to join these two in line with a fuse. So once again, joining clip. Okay, so we know that that end is going to be joined. Okay, so basically, so far we've got power to the pump through this switch, and that is going to go direct to the positive side of the battery. So we need a joining clip here as well. Alright, like so. Okay, so before I've joined anything, I've already got half of my circuit done. Okay, so that is the correct way to wire a float switch. Now I haven't wired anything up yet, so I'm going to leave it. So I'm just going to put that down. Now, so that will operate on the float switch by itself the way it's currently wired up, providing we connect it to the battery. Okay, now, how do we wire a manual switch? Okay, so once again, we've got to run power to this switch, same as we have this switch, okay, and then we've got to run power from the switch back to the pump. So what I've done, once again, I've got my twin core wire, okay. Now this has obviously got a positive and a negative in it. You won't need the negative, so I'm going to use them both as a positive. I'm just going to quickly, okay. So we've got positive and a negative, but like I said, we're going to use these both as a positive. Okay, so we're going to change both ends. Right, now going back to my little clips, okay, because this is going to go on the switch. I'm just going to shove that one in there for the time being. Okay, because this is going to go onto my switch. And we're going to put the other one on here, like so. Okay, now I'm just actually going to put them on quickly. So all you do with your cutters, if you've got some wire strippers, brilliant, makes life a little bit easier. So you don't want too much wire. Now when I say it's tinned wire, if you have a look at that, it's nice and silver. Okay, now it's like that all the way through the cable. So if it's a copper colour, okay, I suggest you get the correct cable. So all I'm going to do is I'm going to put these fittings on, so it's quite easy. Just push them in. I always find it easier to twist the ends. Now I've got my crimping tool. Okay, that one's on there. Once again, if you twist the wire off, it's a little bit easier to put in the hole. Most of the time. Alright, we're going to crimp that off. Okay, so that's all crimped. It's a little bit loose. Try that again. Alright, now with these terminals, as I said, they're waterproof. You just need some heat. Ideally, if you've got a heat gun, that's fantastic. If you don't, steal your wife's hairdryer or your mum and dad's hairdryer. And what we're going to do is we're just going to heat shrink these terminals on. So all that requires is a little bit of heat. You're probably not going to be able to see it. I'm just going to heat these terminals up. When the gun heats up, it starts to shrink over the cables. Okay, now that basically makes them absolutely watertight. It also helps with keeping them on so they don't fall off. Alright, so that's done. Okay. Alright, so we're going to unbox our switch. Or unpack. Okay, now this is where you need your screwdriver. On the end of these cheap little switches, there's normally a screw. Now, just for the video, normally I would run the correct fitting, sorry. But just for the video, just for ease, I'm just going to take them out. Right, now you got an off and an on. Okay. I don't know if you can see that on the switch. Okay, now depending on which side we put it on, okay, is which side we get the power. So I'm going to put the off, okay, to the red, because that's our feed in. Alright, and then I'm going to put your off to the black side, which is still power, but just so I know which one goes to the switch, or the pump I should say. Alright, so that's on there. Right, now coming back to the fuses. Alright, so we've got our fuses here. So this fuse is already connected. Okay, so that's that one. So what we want to do is we want to put another fuse in between here to basically isolate the power. So I'll do that quickly. Once again, the heat shrink joiner. Put that one in there. So I said we're going to go to the red. Put that one in there. Get our crimps. So she's done there. Alright, so we get our heat again. Right, that one's done. Now, let's look at this circuit again. Okay, so we've got our switch. Now, if you think about things, this is basically the same as this operation here. Okay, so I'm just going to pop this one on that we put on earlier. She's on there nice and tight. Okay, so that one's on there, and that one's on there. Now what I do to save, obviously, having lots and lots on your battery, what we're going to do is we're going to connect the two fuses on the power side that goes to the battery together. Okay? So these two, so we've got two fuses, one going to the float switch and one going to the normal switch. Alright, so we're going to connect them together. Once again, if you can twist them together, it makes life a little bit easier for you. Right, so we've got positive to one switch, positive to the second switch. Now what we want to do is we want to connect the power, so we're coming back to your pump for a minute, so we've got your power from your pump, power from one float switch, and we've got your power from your other switch. Okay, now remember I said to you, even though it's black, I'm using this as a power. So I'm just going to strip this one. Okay. You've got your power to your bilge pump. Alright, and then we've got power from your other switch. Okay, so what we want to do is we're going to connect all the powers together. Okay? So once again, I just twist them together. Actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do that differently. I'm going to put the float switch together, because these are normally in the bilge side by side. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put one at that end in this end. And then I'm going to put your power from your manual switch in this end. Right. So quick recap. Just going to leave that one there. Okay, so we've got the manual switch. So this is going to feed to the dash. Okay. We've got your two powers which are going to go into your battery. Power down to the second switch, and then both the power from this switch as well as this switch are connected to your bilge pump, which are those two wires there. Okay, so what have we got left? Okay, so we need to do your earth wire. Okay, so your earth wire, once again, direct to the battery. So I haven't put this one on there yet. Just going to trim this one up. So with these connections, they're fairly big. And obviously the earth on the bilge pump is quite small. So you can get different colours of these, but what I find is the eyelets are not big enough to go over the battery. So what I tend to do is just cut them a little bit longer. Give yourself plenty of wire, twist it off, and I cut it into thirds. So 1, 3, which gives you a bit more of a wire to bite. Push it in, okay, and crimp it off. Alright, so we heat shrink it. Okay, so what you end up with, just get rid of this bit of wire. Negative, positive. 1 switch, 2 switch. Alright, let's see if it works. So, I always put the positive on first, it's just me. Right, now I'm going to connect all this. It's still fairly safe because I've got no fuses in. Okay. Right, 2 fuses. So I personally prefer these, but it's each to your own. Okay, so just clip that off. That's your fuse carrier there. And that's your other one. So there's 2 types there. Just depends what you like. The one good thing about this one is you can actually screw that on your dash. So you've basically got it up and out of the way. Alright, now fuses, okay? Don't go overboard. Alright, I've got 7.5 amp fuses. This bilge pump actually only needs a 5 amp fuse. But I don't have any at the moment, so I'm going to chuck in a 7.5. So, in theory, this one is to the switch, depending on which way I've got that. So I plug this in, it now has power, and as I've got it on the off, it shouldn't operate. Okay, so let's put one on the other fuse. Should put that cover back on. Alright, once again, float switch is down, so in theory, it shouldn't operate. Put the other fuse in. Right, so we're now live on the whole circuit. Now, if I've done this right and we haven't got any problems with the equipment, if I lift this float switch, the pump should operate. So, I'm going to do that. And away she goes. I'm not sure if you can see it. Okay, so as the water increases in your bilge, this float's going to lift up. Okay, and basically when it hits an unsafe level, it's going to click on and operate your bilge pump. And as your water goes down, that'll click off. Okay, now you want that operational all the time, because if you've got a leak, and especially if you've got a sealed deck and you don't know, this will save you. Okay, manual switch, once again. So if you want to operate the bilge manually, all you got to do is flick your switch and it should work. In this case, it's not, which is interesting. Okay, that's okay. So let's find out why she's not working. So we've got to check our connections. Have we got power? Fuse is in. That's in. Let's bypass the switch to see if it works. Okay, so brand new switch out of the packet, faulty. Does happen. So if that was to happen to you, just bring it back and we change it over. But basically by connecting the two, she operates. What she did. There you go. Alright. Okay, so unfortunately it does happen. Alright, anyway, that's basically how you wire it up. Actually, what I'll do is I'll just quickly, you have a look at the system, I'll go and grab another switch and we'll just operate it so you can actually see it working. Okay, give me 2 minutes. Right, so this is one of my more preferred switches. This is called a Carling switch, a little bit more expensive. A little bit more pretty as well. That's just a light, but in theory, so that's on. That's off. There you have it. That's how to wire up a float switch and a bilge pump cheaply. Thanks for watching. Catch up soon.